Hello, and welcome back to Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic, where last time we terraformed the area, built the basic infrastructure, completed our first little settlement, and prepared an industrial area. Today, we will expand our settlement and use our workers, finally, to make money by building actual industry. Because right now, we are running out of money and we have no income source. This might sound very bad, but the honest answer is, this is normal. We're playing on the hardest difficulty with very little amount of money. You will run out of that. So today we're gonna go a bit into debt, which is fine.
Are you sure?
We just need to be careful how much debt we take, and we will invest that debt to build an industry that makes us money. Plus we will also need to expand our city, because the more workers we get, the more we can scale our industry. And what I need to say is that I forced myself to not play this game until I'm done with the first episode. So jokes aside, I haven't played this in weeks, and I really want to play again. I suffered as much as you do waiting for the next part, because I had a lot of fun playing last time, and I haven't played in weeks. The upside of that, I had a lot of time to think, and I read all of your comments. So I know some questions you still have, and on top of that, you also gave me some suggestions on what I should do. That is the beauty of this. The downside is that we both have to wait. Anyways, the first thing I thought about is that bridges are very expensive, but in the long term, very good, because they don't stop our traffic. This is railway construction though, and I've actively decided to only have one construction vehicle, because we won't really need more. This makes me think that we really don't need more than one railway. Oh, I deleted the wrong bridge there. Oops. So what I will do is I will build one bridge and then just connect the railway over here to both rails. This is more than enough. So our construction vehicle will come out of the construction office, drive over the bridge, and then can go to one of the two railways. If it needs to go to the other directions, it can just go up here and turn around. Construction vehicles on rail are very forgiving. So for them, this system doesn't need to be perfect, meaning that this is good enough for now. As for over here, I'm still thinking if this is enough space for the entire industry, or if we should move it over here. Moving it over here would mean way more terraforming, but with the huge upside of us having way more space. Because if industry needs one thing, it's space. Industry needs a lot of space. And before we go into the building and planning of everything, one last thing I wanted to say in the last episode, but kept for this one, not expecting it would take me this long to release it, is when you fast forward, like I showed in the last episode with like control numpad 1, be careful with that once you have workers with needs, because especially on high speed, so control numpad 2, this one, your population will bug out and die, mostly caused by them not being able to get their needs. So they will go to the supermarket, bug out, don't get food, teleport back home, and then die because they didn't get food, even though they were in the supermarket. And it's apparently, I didn't know this before, you told me that, because that's a debug tool, like it's a dev tool. You can still use it in game, just out of own experience, I developed a little bit of a feeling for that, because I do know it's dangerous for your population. You can use control 1, but not too much. Like, keep breaks between it, otherwise your population will bug sometimes out, and never use control 2. Like, for the early construction, do it, but after that, it is bad. It can also lead to some trucks being stuck on certain crossings, which you can easily debug by holding control and H. You can always teleport vehicles home to the Home Depot, like I just teleported this crane here, but not every vehicle can do that, because not every vehicle has a depot to teleport back to. Also, I bought a new mouse, because my old mouse keeps spazzing in and out while zooming. I tried to edit around it. Emphasis on tried. Shouldn't happen anymore. Plus, in the last video, the music was too loud, so I will also fix that. I'll listen to you guys. I'll listen to you. But with all of that out of the way, let's get building. Firstly, and quietly in the background, I will upgrade these roads here. And because I will be hyper efficient about this, I know, big word, I will first turn it into a brick road, so they only have one building step to complete, and once it's a brick road, I will upgrade it to a brick road with a sidewalk. Once again, increasing the movement speed for people walking. And yeah, you kind of need to be careful about that, because you don't want to lock people somewhere where they can't go. The way I build it, everything is still very accessible, so this should be fine.
Help! Help me!
As for industry, I think I will do the no-risk approach, and we're just gonna use this entire area over here, meaning I will move my crane somewhere else, but these are free depots anyways, so that doesn't really matter. So I can just move them over here, tell them all to go over there. What I will also do is I will remove parts of this road, and because our construction industry is not doing anything important right now, I will be doing something like that and order them to upgrade this over here to also use a brick road. And now I will skip forward because now we're just gonna terraform, and it's not the most interesting part of this game, I gotta say. You did tell me that there is like settings I can change in the game files to make terraforming quicker, but at the end of the day, I don't want to really use mods or anything. I just want to play the base game how it's quote-unquote meant to be. If there is a debug tool that I'm actively allowed to use without changing anything in the game files or putting in any code, I think that's fine. But if I have to actively change something in the code of the game, I feel like that's, you know, interfering with the way how it's meant to be played. But yeah, terraforming. And also winter. Yeah, we're really gonna test our infrastructure now and how well it works. This road is already built, by the way. They build so quick if you only do one step after another. But checking show overlays, going to the last thing here and clicking interior shows you the temperature, and this looks very good. It has -3 degrees outside and +24 inside, which is a very good sign that our heating plant is working and not overwhelmed. What I also got informed about the heating plant, and I personally didn't know, is that you can change the temperature here from when the heating plant turns offline. Because I said before, I will build this heating plant here and connect it to the same heat exchangers as this one, but only activate at extreme temperatures. What I didn't know is that you can change the temperature when you click on it. I might actually do that, and it's very cool to know. Thank you for telling me. This is why I love this series, by the way, because they go both ways, okay? I don't know everything about this game. And yeah, I would say that is a big area to work with. A very big one. And with that part of the road destroyed, let's plan our factories. Okay, I'm gonna do something stupid and let time pass a little bit, because I really want to do this when the snow is gone. Because I just did do some planning, and I can't see my roads when I zoom out. It's just this bad. And even more important, I want you to see the roads, so I'm just gonna wait for winter to be over and use this opportunity to micromanage and upgrade the roads over here, which also really need to be upgraded. So yeah, I'm gonna do this now. And you see over here, with the help of a crane and some workers, this is super quickly done. In our university, we start to have the problem that we don't have enough professors, mostly because of the research. It kind of halves the amount of professors we use for education. So yeah, I might still rush through distribution offices just because they are this important. Not manually setting up trucks is nice. So a month has passed, and yeah, the snow is still here. The problem is our money is about to be gone. So what I will do for now is get a very small loan, say like 20k, just that we get through the winter. And I think we will not burn through this. 20k is actually quite a lot, but because upgrading roads is not that expensive, the running costs for chemicals and for food, meat, especially electronics and clothing are high. But besides that, we are fine. Roads over here also started to be upgraded quite quickly. What you also might notice right now is that all buses are in a line with each other, which is not good. So there is time where our heating plant is not working for the sole reason that the buses don't really have a working interval with each other. The way to fix that, which we haven't done yet, but I teased in the last episode, is a building under the post called Bus End Station. And I think I will build one big one right next to our repair office, like this. This will serve multiple things. Firstly, this will refuel our buses when they are in the end station, meaning they will not go to the gas stations anymore, which is good. Secondly, it will maintain our vehicles because they're right next to the maintenance office. Sorry, the vehicle repair station, meaning when they are at the end of the line and park a little bit over here, the repair office can pick them up and tell them, hey, don't move, I will repair you. And they will just repair. In the background, we have heating problems again because the horrible intervals of our bus line, meaning, yeah, see, all of these buses are in one row, meaning there's seconds where we have low heating and this completely plummets to a level where it's not good anymore. And now people are inside again. So yeah, this should be fixed. Bringing me to the third thing it does, intervals. This will always collect the vehicles and will create intervals in which the buses go out again, meaning even if there is a traffic jam and all of the buses are now behind each other, this bus end station will unconvolute the situation and create new intervals every time. And it's a building that I didn't know existed for the longest time, but it's also a building that is super important. So I very recommend that. Yeah, but I also gotta say, a lot of these buildings still feel very overwhelmed, even though with just one heating plant. So I think I'm kind of also encouraged within the next summer period to build also our second heating plant to have the security to expand our city, which we also need to do to get more workers to really run our industry. So we have a lot of space over here to expand, we have a lot of space over here to expand, basically around our city center. I think this is going to be super important, so I will do that. We can also add drinking now to our distribution office order. And you see over here what I talked about last episode, some trucks don't completely empty their inventory, so there's like not even 1 ton of mechanical components left in this truck, and that means he can't do any other thing than, you know, loading mechanical components right now because he's locked into this one resource. If you really need trucks, it is not a lot of money, just get rid of that. I just did that with a lot of like neglectable amounts of resources in trucks, just that we have our food security, because I did notice that this is a problem, and a lot of people at once going into the shopping center might be a hint that this has happened before. What you can also do to have more food security in the supermarket is a little trick I tend to use. Buy another covered hull, which can transport food. Come forth, my little truck. And once it's in the depot and refueled, we can set up a route with it to go to the customs house, get food, and then go to the shopping center, unload food, and wait until you unload it. And then also tell him to launch that. I was confused why I didn't move. Yeah, you also gotta tell him to actually do what he's supposed to do. But this truck now will always drive to wherever we get the food from. I mean, in this specific case, always to the custom house, but you can change this order later. Pick up food, drive to the supermarket, occupy one of the 3 parking slots here, and now he's waiting to be completely unloaded and always fills up the food storage. So this truck over here basically is a mobile storage unit that we attach to our supermarket for the most important resource we need there. Food, giving us better food security. I tend to use this trick a lot, and yeah, I kind of like it, okay? I have nothing to add to this. And it tends to work very well. Snow has also finally melted. What I did notice is that some of our people are not really happy, especially over here, mainly because they don't really get a lot of cultural enjoyment and sports, because it's still out of reach, because I haven't upgraded the walk paths yet. What you can do, and I do kind of recommend, is build football fields where you have space for them. They only work in summer when the temperatures are not too cold, but generally speaking, they are a very good and quick way to increase sports enjoyment in more than half of the game, because they generally just don't work in winter. Also, a good way to increase enjoyment in the summer is this building over here, the Surprise Carousel under tourism actually, which again works in summer, but it does a very good job in increasing enjoyment for your normal citizens too, as much as I know, so I tend to build it. Also prioritizing these small footpaths to be built quickly, otherwise they won't. And now to the most important part of every city that I didn't build yet, because it gets destroyed when you terraform or build anything. Trees. I feel like cities look a bit depressing without trees. I will place a few in here. Can build a little pine tree here to the border. And I would say with all of that prepared, let's finally go into the most interesting part of this all, industry. I know, finally. For a beginner industry, we are kind of limited, because all of the advanced industries like a refinery or a chemical plant, they're really locked behind research. We could get the chemical plant quite quickly, but as for our very first industry, not a lot of research needed and really good to reduce your costs. I like to go into clothing and food production. We will also add alcohol to that and meat, and a little bit later, when we have a better railway network, I would like to add agriculture. So the plan for now is to import grain for our very small railway network, but in the future maybe make a bit more flatland over here and then become even more independent by producing our own grain. Grain is something you might underestimate a little bit, because you need a lot of it to be covered for the entire year. So this is not the first industry I will invest into. And for the beginning, importing grain, it is literally not that expensive. My goal is to become more and more autonomous over time. So at some point I want to produce everything myself, but as a beginner industry, I have to set priorities. factories. And my priority for now is to reduce our costs, which also in a way makes us money, by producing food ourselves, alcohol ourselves, meat ourselves, and clothing ourselves. The only thing we really need to import for that industry, with except the obvious utility of electricity, water, and sewage, is mainly grain, because food needs it, alcohol needs it, and meat needs it. Even clothing needs it, but clothing also needs chemicals. So we're gonna import two things, grain and chemicals. Chemicals are very expensive, by the way, but the good thing is that clothing is worth even more. So this is double good for the one fact that we mainly need to import a very cheap resource, grain, and secondly, that our population consumes this a lot. And what we don't consume, we export. That is our first goal for this industry. I will try to make it kind of optimized over here, and most importantly, I will try to make our bus station in a way where we can get everywhere with the one bus station. That's also why I'm upgrading all the roads now here, because we will need increased walking speed. I mean, we can also invest into footpaths, which is also fine, but we need to upgrade these roads at some point anyways, and I guess doing it now is even cheaper because inflation exists in the game and goods become more and more expensive over time, which doesn't matter because the goods we import grow at the same speed than the goods we export. But if you want to invest your beginner money the best possible way, you basically want to buy everything immediately. Meaning that what a lot of pro players do in their very first move is buy storages and fill them with resources. I don't do that because I know this is the optimal way to do it, but I'm more of a relaxed player, and this is supposed to be a beginner-friendly guide. So my goal is not to show off all of the pro moves. But yeah, you might have the question now, how do you start planning your first industry? And first, I have to give you a pat on your back. This is a very good question. I ask myself this question every time. And the honest answer is, you start somewhere. You just gotta start somewhere, and then you optimize whatever you started. I like to start planning at the most obvious point, which is the bus station, where all the workers come from. I'll just build this one over here. Later on, giving a road sign here that only buses can drive on this road, and this road to the side is the road for every other vehicle. The only reason I do this is because I want to work with one-ways, meaning that the vehicles will come here and then will only be allowed to drive here in a circle, meaning that these vehicles will never cross with the traffic here, will just continuously drive straight forward, and these vehicles will never cross with the traffic over here by just going to the right, preventing traffic. I mean, later on we could have another roundabout over here or a second connection to this roundabout over here, but yeah, there's a lot of different concepts to just reduce the amount of friction you have in your traffic in this game, which in the long run will be super important to optimize supply chains. The most optimal way is of course the train, because if you build a train correctly, it will never touch any of your cars, which, you know, produce traffic. But railway is also very expensive infrastructure to build, so yeah, it is more of a faraway dream. So for those factories, I have a semi-optimized placing style, and I never know where to start. So let me just start with the storages. I like to invest big for the future, so I'm gonna build bigger storages. Very important with a railway access built in. Placing that here. The first clothing factory over here, because yeah, we're gonna build two. A fabric factory over here, connecting to both. Second one over here. The basic layout of this is to have everything connected via factory connections, where factories can share resources with each other or a storage. And my goal with this layout is that every factory has access to everything they need. Showing off the basics over here, that our clothing factory needs fabric, where our fabric factory needs chemicals and crops. Crops we won't store in this over here, but this storage over here will be for chemicals, fabric, and clothing. Mostly chemicals and clothing, and fabric really only if our factory overproduces, so it can still push it somewhere. And the reason why we build two clothing factories is simply because one fabric factory produces enough fabric for two factories. So you see maximum consumption at production, 2.2 tons from our clothing factory, while the fabric factory produces 5 tons. So it even overproduces for two factories, but yeah, not too much, and we will need fabric anyway, so this is fine. What we need now, most importantly, is to plan in a road over here and a road over here. You know, always connect your factories, otherwise your workers can't get there. But also, very important, and the reason I should still have a connection over here is grain. So, you know, give me a second, I need to rebuild this a little bit. That's what I mean with you start somewhere and then you kind of move it around until you're happy. Because I'm not happy with this yet. So, clothing factory, we can't have it like this, because this would block the railway. So what I'm thinking is this, allowing us to connect here and allowing us to connect here. here. Planning more of the railway ahead, that we know it's not in the way. Road something like this. As for the grain silo, a normal one should be enough. There is an outway here, there is an inway here. This is definitely a very important piece of railroad. So let's build this first. The road can continue along. This road crosses this here. And then our fabric factory should be able to connect to everything. Yeah, space management wise, so far this is horrible. You're starting to see now what I mean with you gotta start somewhere and then you move stuff around until you're happy. Literally what I'm doing. So we can get a lot of space back if I do it like this. So redoing a lot of this road again. I might also, for faster worker move speed, build a parallel pathway to our road. And yeah, generally speaking, I'm quite happy with this. We have parallel footwalk paths which have a way higher walking speed than the roads. Everything is connected to everything it needs, meaning the fabrics factory gets its chemicals from the storage and its grain from the grain silo, and the clothing factories get their fabric firstly from the fabric factory directly, and if that runs out, from the storage house, but it will also unload the finished clothing. That's the first part of the industry done. Now the beauty of this is that we have an entire other side of the grain silo we can utilize for all the other stuff. Once again, I will experiment a little bit. While I'm trying to figure this all out, I will just do a cut and show the finished product, because so far this is just me trying out a lot of stuff. And if I have to delete stuff all the time because I'm rethinking it, it might just be more confusing than you just seeing the final product and me explaining what I thought about it. So yeah, we will jump to that. So I think I'm happy. This is like one block of industry that would have definitely not fit into here. So I am happy I moved it over here. Generally speaking, in the first look, this is very confusing. But similar to here, there is just a logic to everything, and it's just a lot of inputs and outputs and optimizing the industry connections you get per factory. So there's a lot of mirroring and a lot of rotating until everything fits as it needs to. Like this over here is grain usage for alcohol and food. The food industry being over here, where one factory output goes to the grain silo and one factory output goes to the storage where we will store the food. Literally the same over here with our distillery. One connection to the grain silo, one connection to the storage, and this is gonna be our food storage. Quite important. And then on top of that, I squeezed in a meat production, starting with a livestock farm, which uses crops to create livestock. And no, you don't need to import livestock. This somehow literally just converts crops into livestock. Don't question it. This is how this works. No livestock needed to start it off, just crops. Going to a beautiful slaughterhouse over here and ending up in a meat storage, which is basically just a cool storage unit. So yeah, this makes us quite autonomous in the consumption of clothing, food, alcohol, and meat. And funnily enough, this industry over here is not just good for reducing imports of consumed goods in the city, but plays also very nice into an industry we can talk later about. Down here, tourism. That is everything tourists consume. Food, alcohol, meat. So what we build is an industry that needs no real research, but I would very much recommend distribution offices for this one. A very basic amount of input goods, because you might notice our grain silo is like a heart connected to every industry somehow, and the only factories that are not connected is our clothing factories, because they just need fabrics and that's it. Not even chemicals. The chemicals are also for the fabric. Chemicals will be expensive, I'm gonna warn you about that. Maybe we'll go into a chemical plant later, but for now, this industry has to balance our books a little bit. I will probably also introduce a little bit more depth to get tourism going. The only really expensive stuff I've done here that I really thought about if I should do it or not is an underpass for pedestrians. So these factories over here are in range because I've already upgraded the footpath to the level we want it to be. So this is not dirt, which lets me see if everything is reachable by walking, and it is. But the problem is without the underpass, it wouldn't be. So yeah, this is quite important to have. The biggest challenge of all of this that I only implied and haven't talked about is that you can't build anything through these factory connections. I can build no railroad through it. I can build no road through it. So my design is basically access everything from around and have all the factory connections in the middle. I played around a lot with this. I will show this design again once I'm done. I literally kind of pulled this out of my arse. cars with a combination of a playstyle I used before. Is this optimal? No, I like to always make unique industry sectors every playthrough. Of course, knowing ratios and using a little bit of basic knowledge, but I don't tend to use a lot of big templates for industry. I tend to wing it. This is kind of where the factorio factor of the game kicks in for me, where I just have a lot of fun of problem solving these things rather than always having a set amount of templates I can just copy paste all the time, which you can do, but that's just me personally. I just like to figure things out, know the ratios, have a little bit of a template in my head, but nothing fixed, and then figure it out as we go. But yeah, I will turn this all into brick roads, and this will cost us a lot of money to build. But on the plus side, this will be very efficient. In the background, we've already built our football field and our carousels. Let me check if the happiness went up. It definitely did. We are at 60. My goal is between 70 and 80, but for that we really have to upgrade more infrastructure. And yeah, I will upgrade a bit more the pedestrian paths. And while all of this is upgrading, I would say let's finally fix our bus lines, which are, I mean, not finalized at all because we haven't even built the real bus station yet. But what we should definitely do, because this is probably not done until the next winter, we should still optimize the current one just to have better intervals. And how you do that is very easy. You just click on a bus that is on the line, like this one, and you can easily check this by hovering over. This is bus station number 1. This over here is bus station number 2. So yeah, I already know this is the right bus line. You can of course rework it over here, but it will only be for this bus. We want to rework it for every bus. So what I do is I click on the few line details. There we see this is the line with all the buses on it, and even one bus that never started the line. What we will do now is click at the end here, the last bus station, because we want to add a bus station after. Do a new station, click on our newly built bus end station, and because we clicked on this one, it will be put after that one. And here we don't need to do anything. The bus end station just needs to be in the line of everything, meaning the buses will now go over here, don't need to load, don't need to unload. All the settings are in the bus end station itself. For the time gap, we want it to be variable because, you know, there could always be traffic, and with fixed times, I don't know, a variable works quite well. I already set up the refueling to deliver fuel over here, and it's also next to our repair station, so they will be repaired, meaning that our buses will have way better intervals now and only send out buses when they are basically needed. Meaning this building is also a very good indicator if you need more or less buses. If it's always empty, you probably don't have enough buses on the line, and if it's way too full, you probably have too much buses on that line. This of course only works if you have only one bus line per end station, because if you have multiple bus lines per end station, all of these things just mix through. But for now, this is a very good indicator if we need more buses or less buses. I will let the bus line do what it currently does, and we will see in the future if I will change it or not. But for now, this is totally fine. And oh my god, I just noticed how much we need to build here, and this will take forever. The good news is that we have our own people now and are not 100% reliant on foreign workers. And oh my god, do we have a lot of foreign workers now. I think I never saw this much foreign workers. What is going on here? Maybe we are a very attractive workplace, but I've never seen this many foreign workers. This is amazing. But yeah, little time jump. I will research distribution offices. I will upgrade the entire infrastructure in the city to be a higher level, so every house can reach everything. And I will also wait for this to be further constructed, that we see this at the end of the episode, so you don't have to wait another 2 weeks to see how the industry works. I won't do this to you. Sorry it takes so long. I guess a very short update on that before we do a time jump. This channel is still my hobby and my pet project, so this is a passion project, and every time I find the time to do it, I do it. But sadly, there are also other things I need to do. Sadly, no daily uploads. I wish I could, but it would mentally drain me, and I try to record this on days when I feel, let's say, right-minded and in a mood to explain a very complicated video game without too much editing or sometimes re-recording. Trust me, you don't want to see the uncut version of the first video. It was bad. So, a few months have passed. We finished the research. We upgraded a lot of the roads over here already, and I'm very much still busy upgrading these roads. But accessibility to all services drastically increased. Let's look at the happiness. Yeah, 80%. That is way better than what we had before. And also means that we can probably start expanding a bit too, because we will need more people for the industry. Infrastructure over here is also greatly advanced. What I would say now is let's redo the bus routes over here a bit, deleting the free one and adding this one over here now with unloading everything and yeah, applying the changes. Bam. I mean, they drive a little bit redundantly now, like driving over here, loading off and then driving over here. But I think the buses should not be the main problem for the traffic. So this should be fine. This allows me to destroy this bus station over here. And I think I will use this space over here to build our first medium-sized distribution office. I would say over here. On the other side, this could create a lot of traffic. So you know what? For distribution office for this region, I will wait for this road to be done, which is more of an off-road, and then build it over here. But we will also need one in the city. And in the city, we still have a lot of space. So you know what? I will use this area over here to build a distribution office, and for later on, plan this one over here. But because it's in range of the repair office, even though it's a bit bad for traffic, I might build another one over here. I doubt we will need more than 3, at least for the beginning. I mean, we will definitely rethink refueling as soon as we produce our own fuel. For now, 3 fuel trucks should be more than enough. But from everything to railway construction, which will eat a lot of resources, supplying our utilities with resources and our supermarkets and other services like the prison with food and clothing, we'll also need quite a lot of trucks over time. And then a third one for just selling. This one over here is just gonna be maintaining the industry needs and exporting our overproduction. Later on, that's why I prepared the railway, we can sell it via that, but for now we don't have the infrastructure for that, and I just would like to have one train for importing grain, because grain is very annoying to import with trucks. So yeah, everything slowly but surely starting to take shape, and maybe I should really start to destroy this city here. So I will also do that on the side now, and we can start using the church. So I settled everyone out, and I started to queue up the destruction of this. So yeah, this should happen now on the side. What we can also do now for the preparation of our railway, which we will definitely start once these distribution offices are here, and I guess we can also upgrade this to a stone road before it's built, because those are actually very quickly built. But what we can also do is use a truck I prepared over here to get our railway construction vehicle to our railway construction office. We are only loading in vehicles/containers in the customs house where we already bought it, and unloading it in the railway construction office. So go forth, my truck, and yeah, deal with a little bit of traffic. This is not good. And yeah, just double check that we already bought the vehicle, so it is here. And now it's loaded on, beautifully being driven to the construction office. And by the way, it's way bigger than that. It really shouldn't fit on the truck. This is just a locomotive of the construction thingy, so yeah, I'm not gonna complain though, we will need it. The other one is awful. In our industrial heartlands, we are still missing something, and that something is utilities, because we have no water, some electricity connection from over here, but not a lot. Yeah, it's just a bus station basically, and no sewage. So let's build this real quick, checking it's in range of everything. I left also 2 connection cords over here, which generally might not be enough. So what I will do now is build another cross, I would say over here, connect this to that, connect this to that, connect this to that. Beautiful. Just gotta work around the underpass a little bit, but yeah, it will also take some time to be built, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned this, but these are not quickly built. Next, water. I will probably once again build a water pump, and yep, this is transporting fresh water. That's what we need to here, and then partially into the industry itself. But what we will also need is a water substation, because the factories themselves also need plumbing. Utility-wise, the last thing we need is electricity, which, you know, should be very straightforward by now. We build our substation, we check if it's in range of everything. It is. And then we build a cable. Easy. Everything underground, so not in the way. And that is the industry actually built. We just need to wait for the construction, but we have utilities, we have the storage units, we have the factories, we have our way to get here. I mean, I did talk about this before, but I will actually do this now. Create traffic signs that disallow trucks here, and that should get the lane free for the buses. Beautiful. The trucks now drive around, and the buses can always drive through here. Actually, one last thing I do remember, and we did forget over here and everywhere, propaganda. We didn't build statues anywhere, and they're generally super important in this game. I didn't talk about them yet because they're not essential for a city, at least while you build it. People will survive without propaganda, but for your republic in the long term, these are super important because loyalty, and that's what statues promote, increases productivity. So not just happiness, also loyalty. So what I will do is I will build 2 statues over here too. We don't forget about them. I hope they're in range, but I think we can't check that really yet, because while I was upgrading this area, I also built statues over here too, and when you hover over them, you see the area of effect, meaning they have actually quite a good area of effect, but I personally don't have a good enough feeling yet to really know when it's enough. So I tend to build rather more than less. But yeah, building them early is super important. You can even build them before you open up the city. I just want to get the city done in the last video and show you a finished city. Kinda forgot about them a little bit, honest answer, but they are now here too, and they are super helpful. And yeah, I gotta say, 80% happiness is really, really good. And that is without a church or anything. This is just with everything we can build. Of course, I'm playing a bit slower than you normally would, quote unquote, because I do one thing after another, so I can show it off in the series. You tend to build more stuff at the same time in this game, but if you're new, or if you have a more relaxed playstyle like I do, and don't feel pressured too much from time passing, then you can just do it like this to kind of keep an overview, build one thing after another. I mean, you can also bottleneck yourself a lot if you build too much at the same time, because then your industry gets nothing done. You kind of saw an example of that in the first city, but once you tend to get more independent production methods and your own workers, you can really scale this up over time. So what I could do right now is scale up the production more and go more into depth. I'm at the point where I don't want to go much more into depth and would like to see a return on investment at some point, but for now this is still fine. And once again, if you look at the map, we're only playing in our real little corner over here. Theoretically, we still have an entire map to expand to. And yeah, officially now around a year has passed since we started this episode, though yeah, really not a lot of time has passed, and I even cut out a lot. Most of the industry planning I did while pausing the game for very obvious reasons, because you don't want them to build something while you're not happy with it. So yeah, the episode might be long, the game time isn't. And while we wait, I will place a few more trees around my roads, because I don't know, I just like to do this. In reality, you would do this to kind of reduce noise pollution, which I think on our gravel roads wouldn't be such a big problem yet. I don't think you have the highest speeds here, but yeah, I just tend to do this. Doesn't do anything game-wise, but just like to plant trees around roads. We're hiding everything that isn't the terrain, okay? Because only the terrain is peak efficiency. And what you can see now, after we upgraded a lot of the roads, is that basically all buildings reach our most furthest out service, the sports hall over here. The only two buildings that don't reach it over here still are very happy, because you explained something to me that I didn't know. When people go out in their free time, because you can always click on them and you see what they're currently doing, literally this guy here doing free time, where they at the beginning have a list of their needs they want to satisfy, always starting with food, but after that they go to other stuff. And apparently once they left the house and went to the shopping center for food, which is our source of food, the new range is the building they're currently in. So in this case, the shopping center. So as long as our shopping center reaches all the houses, everyone can go to the other services after going into the shopping center. I didn't know that. If that would be true, that would be amazing, because that means this city placement is actually double good. But look at these beautiful needs. Food, drink alcohol. That is a peak worker mindset right here. And now after drinking in the pub, work shift. And he's working in the pub doubly. Oh, we have peak workers. This is truly beautiful. What you also can spot over here now is, now that we have a railway construction vehicle, people can start to work in the railway construction office. The only thing we're missing is the components to actually build the railway. As I said, I waited to build these distribution offices before I do that, because our current distribution offices over here are already overwhelmed as is. So once this one over here is done, I will let them deal with railway and other stuff. So distribution office is done. I will now move all of these vehicles from over here to the distribution office, stock it up a bit more, and this distribution office over here will do nothing else than supply our city with all the goods it needs. So this is not going to do industrial goods like steel, bricks, or electrical components. This is just going to distribute goods that keep our city alive, like food, clothing, I mean also electronics here, but you know, that's not electrical components, but also chemicals to keep our water clean and clean our sewage. I can also now order this distribution office over here, which handles our fuel, to also fuel up this distribution office, so these trucks don't need to go to the gas station anymore, because they will be refueled in the distribution office itself. This also means that I can finally get rid of these distribution offices over here and don't need to copy the orders everywhere, which is a bit confusing after a while, because now we can say this distribution office will handle the city like it does, this distribution office will handle maintenance, construction, and this distribution office over here will handle the industry. I mean, of course, later on, this one over here will also take stuff from the industry, because we will not buy food if we produce food ourselves, but only this one will sell it to the outside and will restock all of the warehouses. So now that we have distribution offices, we can basically give specific tasks to specific distribution offices, which makes it very easy for me to keep in mind what does what. I mean, if you want to be super specific, you could even name the distribution offices to what they are doing. I won't do that because I'm lazy. But yeah, having bigger distribution offices is super nice and not being limited to just 15 trucks, I think, from the 3 distribution offices. Not a lot. The medium one has already space for 10 trucks. It is very good to have this, okay? That's my TLDR. It's a big upgrade and also a very important research. And looking at the university right now, this is why we researched early, because now the university is overrun and we don't even research anything. That just means that we need more highly educated people. So the last thing I want to do right now is half the amount of our professors that is educating. We need more educated people, and the only way to really do that is have our people complete the university. I mean, we can also import them again or check the entire map for highly educated people, but long term that's not a solution. So what we are doing now in the background is let our education system do their thing and grow, and you can really see how this explodes, and grow the amount of people with university education quick. I can tell you up to this point we have research, and once we stopped and had more space in our university, this really exploded. But the TLDR is that you tend to have a bunch of uneducated people, which will first go into school to get a normal education, and then later to university to get a higher education. And some jobs, like party officials, which are basically the professors of the university, or teachers, need to have a higher education. And those are super important jobs, especially something like doctor is something you will always need and also requests higher education. And importing people with higher education is expensive. I don't know if I showed it last time, but if I hover over here, it is 4,000 for 5 immigrants. That is not a lot. But yeah, I'm also building a city block over here in the background. I will mention these things less while I do them because, you know, it's just repetitive stuff of what we already did. All you need to know is that we will probably need more workers to really run the industry once it's up. So I'm doing that. So next distribution office is ready. I forgot I'm currently upgrading this. Yeah, I've doubled down on the road improvement initiative. I will not upgrade the highway because these need to be asphalt, which I won't upgrade for quite a while. But as for the city, we are really going into upgrading everything bit by bit. And even that is cleaned up, so I guess I'll build this in a bit. But as for this, I bought even more dumpers. We can also immediately use this guy over here because it's an open hull, and these guys over here might need one more covered hull. And I think I'll just copy over these orders and delete everything that is not needed and already covered by this. Meaning the water treatment, the shopping center, orphanage, prison. And now we're gonna add the railway construction office, and as soon as we can, the coal storage. Let's just say I'm happy that this is a big storage, because otherwise, if this is not built soon, it's gonna be a cold winter. Actually, it's April. We just went out of winter. Okay, we're safe. And this here will literally just need covered hulls, and we already broke again. Yeah, as I said, we will go into depth. This is part of the process. Copium. And more buildings start burning in the other cities. Yeah, I can't really do anything here. This is not my jurisdiction. I've not built anything here, so these fires just start on their own. Funnily enough, up to this point, we had 0 fires in our own city, which is crazy. And I'm not banking that it stays this way. That's the reason I'm also ordering my people to build another fire watch over here, because the range of ours in a city doesn't really cover our industry. But yeah, our trucks are now filling up. Oh, actually, we don't need to bring okay, we don't need electronics here for quite a while. But yeah, as for the railway construction office, we need basically everything but electronics. And there you go. We started building, meaning we have people here, we have all the resources it needs for the railroad. So yeah, this will start building now in the background. This will cost us some money, by the way, especially the bridge with all of the steel. But trust me, it will be worth it in the long run, especially every time this goes back and forth, not creating huge traffic over here. And I know some of you are not a big fan of this expensive investment here for just construction, but it will help a lot. There's sort of experience. Traffic is your enemy. And I'd rather invest a lot of money now in the beginning than regret it in the later game. But I do really love that our republic takes shape. Doesn't look as ugly anymore. And I think if you zoom in, you really start to see it doesn't look that horrible. You have like free time activities. You have not plain boring looking buildings. I mean, you have, you know, pylons and everything, but electricity is part of every city. It is what it is. University wise, we are still overwhelmed, but looking at the numbers, I'm just gonna say it works. We have a lot more educated people now. And by the way, if you want to name this city, let me know in the comments. As long as it's a serious name, I will take it. So no Bodie McBoatface, okay? This will not be a Bodie McBoatface situation. I want real city names, okay? Same over here. We can have an industrial name too. I mean, looking at this, my personal preference would be Floridsdorf. No reason. It just feels right. By the way, at this point, love goes out to my viewers in Floridsdorf. While the railway is being built slowly but surely, and the slowly part is only because the amount of workers that work here, this thing could be 10 times as fast if 10 times the workers would work here. But they aren't. Maybe I do something a bit illegal and force this one house to only work here. Plus, our first own building started burning. That is actually crazy. But yeah, our Firewatch has it under control, so we are fine. Beautiful. What I wanted to talk about the railroad is something that I didn't really forgot about, but that we need. And this something right now is a coaling station. Because as already teased, we're gonna work with steam trains, and steam trains will need a coaling station where they can refuel. I am not 100% sure where I will place this. I would love to do it here because it would fit very well with the road. The problem about this position is that you don't want it there, because something we will talk probably next episode, that being signals. I will just generally throw in the knowledge that you always want to have an entire train of space between signals, so the best position would be somewhere around here, but this is an awful position. Okay, I will do something a bit illegal and people will hate me. I will place it here, okay? Let's all act like this will not be annoying with the signals later and place it here. I will say to everyone that is not a fan of this, once we have money, I'll gladly change this. Okay? This is a deal, because we are going more and more into debt. I'm trying to make efficient solutions now. I hope you're happy with that. This is not good, but it works. And because it's next to the main rail track, we can always destroy it, no problem. You know, if we were to rebuild the main rail track, that would be a problem. But with that, I'm generally happy. I don't think we need to move this, especially because the industrial area kinda ends here. I don't think we will need these tracks here, but I'd rather place them down now and not knowing where this goes than not have them later. And wow, we are actually nearly at the depot. Would you look at that? I also already prepared our train, meaning I bought a steam locomotive, and I thought we are on a German map, so why not buy the Prussian train, Preußische T18? Generally speaking, very cool train. I tend to buy this one anyways, but especially on this map, I have an excuse. As for wagons, and here I like to filter by capacity, I bought these over here, which have literally the same capacity and storage type as these over here, both 17 crops, but this one is way more expensive. They even have the same speed specification, with the difference being that the other one is heavier and longer. So I don't know why this exists. This is just worse in all cases, so I got this one over here. Train is ready to be assembled in here. I just have to wait for the connection to be built, but yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Also, something you need to do with railway construction sometimes, or actually mostly, is scroll down and add new construction assignments, because railway construction is really bad when stuff splits off. It tends to not build that sometimes. So yeah, if something is not built, maybe check what it's currently working on and add new projects. The auto search is not always perfect. I'm also prioritizing a straight line to the grain silo, because it's the only railway we will really need for this industry. And the year 1935 is going to end soon, and this is still a big construction site. I mean, there's a good reason why this is a bit delayed now. We built a lot of other projects on the side, and we optimized a lot of stuff in the city, which took away workers and capacity. But generally speaking, I'm not even mad at that. We need more workers anyways for that industry. So yeah, it is what it is. I do think with all of this yapping now out of the way, I will fast forward a bit, build the railway, and jump back to you once this is done. If anything major comes up, I will just mention it, but I do be at the point where I would like to get to the end of the episode for both our sake, because I want to start editing this video, and you might want to actually see this video not be further delayed. The time has passed, and I found the bottleneck why this industry is not building as fast as I want it to be, and why my debt is getting more and more and more over time. The bottleneck is that I don't have enough open hulls, so building all of these brick roads, which need open hulls, and delivering the hundreds of tons of bricks we need for every factory just didn't happen fast enough. So what I did now is I built 2 more free construction offices with open hulls, and now stuff is getting done. This industry is nearly done. This over here needs a little bit more bricks and a tiny amount of boards. And this factory is also very soon done. Then we can actually start producing when this is up. I will also need food to be done, because it's also also very necessary. But yeah, generally speaking, this is all very soon done now, thanks to actually getting bricks over here. Our debt is very high now. It is 600k. It might seem we won't get out of this anytime soon, which is kind of true. But at the same time, I won't get out of this because I don't want to stop building. So we will do a balancing act between getting rid of our debt and expanding, for which I already started researching tourism. And I think I will continue with advanced hotels for the sole reason that next episode we will probably go into tourism. Mainly because we need money, and secondly because, as I said before, this industry over here very much complements a tourism industry. So doing both at the same time should be very profitable. What I sneakily did in the background is reduce the sentences for the people, because I think like serious crime was 9 years, and I gotta be honest, I don't want to have any person for 9 years in my prison, because then they're not productive. On the other hand, I started to connect the church over here now. This is still being constructed and it's not a high priority to finish anything but the path to the church, but I did place a nice area around this for later. And the overall happiness of people close by is at 82%, which is enormous. The downside is we're getting religious sympathy, which, you know, makes them less efficient. But if you already have a church close by, why not use it? And yeah, also the railway construction is going very well. We could actually start planning some railroad stuff while this is being finished, because the railway to the grain silo is done. Not in both directions, but we will have one train for now, so we don't need both directions. We just need one direction for driving back and forth. I mean, on the other note, they do start building the other direction there too, so I guess there is that. Does look very cool seeing the railway construction vehicle built. And yes, we're out of money again. This is bad news. The only good news is that we already did all of the expensive stuff, meaning we already filled the distribution office and we already bought our train. So there is that. We just need a more increased number of workers, and I gotta be honest, I will force a lot of the people in this new block over here to work in the factories, because our city is very much employed. Like all the other houses over here very much run the city quite well. But as I said, if you want to avoid that, maybe buy more open hulls. I wanted to save money and not do it. In the long term, this cost me a lot more money, because most of this industry already could have been done half a year earlier, maybe even a year. I mean, I could have also just built gravel roads and then this would have been already done faster, but I gotta be honest, I just wanted to skip that step, because later on we need serious roads over here to drive everything faster and not need snow plowing, because when it's snowing, the gravel roads are bad. And yes, I know our highway is gravel roads, but we don't have the time to upgrade them to asphalt. It takes forever at the moment. We need to this first. So the grain silo is done. To fill it up, we firstly and foremostly will need a train. So I will send my train from the customs house to the depot via the change depot workplace, and order it for now to pick up trains, or in this case wagons, and deliver them over to the train depot. First, the train is gonna refuel. For this we build our coaling station, and now the train picks all the wagons up it can and brings it to the depot. I think that actually was all the wagons. Yep. I will now drag the wagons behind the train, delete its current order, make a new one for picking up just grain and dropping it off the grain storage, and wait until it's unloaded. So when it's not completely emptied yet, because the storage is full for now, it stays there. Now our train is driving out to the customs house, buys all the grain it can, drives to the silo, very beautiful by the way, loads off, and repeats the cycle until the silo is done. So we have grain, that is beautiful, already goes into our fabric factory, which is also done now. We also finished the research for hotels, so yeah, we need visas now, but to be fair, we haven't even started construction on tourism, so this is not a priority. I will maybe let people study for now, because we're quite overrun again. Even though our education is working quite well, this is going up, it's still very overrun. But yeah, I would call this setting up the industry now. First and foremost, looking at the warehouses, filtering what we want to have inside of this by saying limited amount. We want to have no crops, some chemicals, some fabric, no alcohol, no food, clothing, yes, no electrical components, no mechanical components, no plastics, no electronics, no explosives. Now a bit more of an emphasis on clothing, a bit less on fabric, and I think I'm happy happy with that. Some space for chemicals, some space for fabrics, a lot of space for clothing, because this is the end storage for clothing, and you don't need that much chemicals. They are a part of the process, but this uses mostly crops. You see like 20 tons of crops to 0.5 tons of chemicals. The ratios are quite in one direction. As for the other storehouse, it's also very obvious. We will set everything to 0 except food and alcohol, and a bit more focus on food, because this is more important. This warehouse can now notify me if it's ever running out of crops, because that's actually important to know. We want this in here, we want this in here. This over here we don't even need to set up, because the end storage is just a meat storage, and you know, that's what comes out. The last thing we need to do for the industry is to go to our distribution office and set up import and export for everything but the grain. So first click on the customs house. We want to load chemicals, and that's it. We just want to import chemicals. We want to unload food, clothing, and alcohol. As for this storage, we want to load clothing and we want to unload chemicals, because we loaded chemicals in the customs house, so we want to unload it into this storage. And for this storage over here, we want to unload nothing, but we want to load alcohol and food. Now, we don't want to sell everything, because we do want to have a buffer for our own population. So what I will do is I will say, let it fill up to 30% and then export it. As for how full this should be, I will tell them to fill it up to 70%. Here they are. Load this when it's over 30%. Unload this when it goes under 70%. Only really interesting for the chemicals. This is our very simple import and export, but of course we are not done yet. We still haven't built the walk paths, so our people can't reach everything perfectly yet. Those need to be built. We have not finished our beautiful propaganda on the side, but as long as we don't have a buffer, I will not change my distribution office over here to use that, because yeah, we haven't produced anything yet, so would be risky to demand that we start using it. And there we go. With the pedestrian paths finished, we start producing. Not a lot, because we need way more workers here, but we generally do finally start producing. Now it's kind of us to scale up our city. I'm also forcing like half of these houses to work here. You shouldn't do that, generally speaking, but in our case where we really need workers, it helps, trust me. And with food and clothing now being in the storage, let me also put up notifications for if it's ever empty. Let's set up the delivery for the town, meaning that I will only import electronics and chemicals from the border point, and food, meat, and clothing comes from our own industry. I will pull these up so the loading is on top and the unloading is at the bottom, because you can rearrange the order here. Doesn't do anything, by the way, just better for planning. So over here we load clothing, over here we load food and alcohol, and over here we load meat. Over here we want to start at 0%, so no 30% threshold, that's only for export. The 30% we only have that we don't export everything, and that we always have something left for our own population. This will mean we will not make money immediately, because we will have to fill up to the 30% first, meaning exporting will start at 90 tons of food or 80 clothing, so this will take some time. But the industry is running now, we just need more workers in the factories, because you see this is not very filled up. That's why we expand the city. And because I see we have no buses here, our current bottleneck is probably that we don't have enough buses for the long distance they're driving. So I got myself a few more Western buses, and they're currently just right now arriving, because not too long ago we did unlock bigger buses, and I will use them. There you go. Go forth, my buses. Last thing we're waiting now is for this to be done, and this will take a while, because apparently we can't use mechanism for that. Yeah, before that we won't produce alcohol or meat, and it's done, meaning all of our factories should be reachable from our bus station now, and they are. Beautiful. Food production, we're looking very good, and we're very close to exporting. Will not make us rich, but selling a little bit of food over time does actually make you money. Don't underestimate that. Clothing is further away. This will take a while. We need way more workers for our big clothing factories to really be at full capacity. We're like 20% and 11% efficiency. It is not looking. And yeah, we will need a few more workers, and we're working on a tight budget now with loans. Yes, I needed another loan. Please be quiet. So because of snow, our buses and trucks are super slow on the gravel roads. And the problem here is that I would love to upgrade them to brick roads, but later on we want them to be asphalt roads. Problem being that is exclusive, because the gravel road can be converted to both, because it's the first step of both roads. But once you involve another resource like bricks, which is not needed for the asphalt road, or asphalt, which is not needed for the brick road, you can't upgrade that road anymore to another road. road. As it already says, it is an upgrade, and that is not an upgrade anymore. That would be a transformation of the road type. So yeah, this is why I'm not touching this, even though I think at some point very soon we need to, because in winter without snow plowing this becomes quite horrendous. So what I will do here is create a bus lane and a truck lane, because we will build a lot more, and I don't want our construction offices over here to create traffic for our buses. So we'll also disallow the trucks to drive through here and only allow the buses, because they need the fastest route. They really do, especially in winter for heating, while the trucks can take a bit longer. I also bought a new truck because I will convert this route here now, which is currently still buying from the large custom house, to now get the food from the storage house, delete the large customs house, and there we go. But this will probably not be enough, so I will also order this truck here to help. So we now have 2 trucks for the sole reason that this is such a long route. And yeah, we already have a heating problem, but that has to do with electricity, because we are broke again. Let's go to 80k. That is a very big loan, but to be fair, I am legit very optimistic that we can pay it off. And I might have overspent, that is also true, but let me be arrogant and say I'm experienced enough to get out of that debt, and I will show you how, which, you know, might be good exercise for how to deal with high debt, you know, totally planned, hahaha. But jokes aside, a little bit too much debt, I don't mind. The most important thing is that we don't stop building, and that everything that we bought with the money from the debt is money invested into paying back the debt. So here we're building new houses for our city, which in return will pay back our debt, because these workers will work in a factory, which will export stuff. So in a way, this investment long term is good for our debt, and that's what we will try to do now. There we go. Still a network of everything: electricity, heating, water, sewage. So that is perfect. This once again will create a lot of traffic from our construction industry, but I think because we regulated traffic like this shouldn't be bad. Over here I would also say let's go down to 20% so we can start exporting sooner. And I needed to fix this road sign to let trucks out, because otherwise they couldn't exit, because this is also a one-side road. Yeah, some time has passed since I recorded the first part of this recording. Yeah, oh, the supermarket has no food. This is why the second food truck now is here. Not very well synced up right now, but I guess it is what it is. Yeah, you never want this, but the problem right now is that the gravel roads and the far storage house is a big problem for my logistics right now. So yeah, the supermarket will be overrun for a little bit, and then it will normalize. And this is only a big problem in the beginning because we are broke and we have to be careful what we spend our money on. So a second truck is a lot of money for us, but at the same time obviously very necessary. And yeah, there you go. The supermarket has normalized again. It was just that everyone who couldn't buy food before now went into the supermarket again because there was food here. So they overran the supermarket. There can be a death spiral in that where you never catch up, but in this case it recovered super quickly with just missing meat, which sucks, but it is not the end of the day. But if I haven't talked about it yet, for assigning people to specific buildings, which I did a little bit now with the bus platform and the supermarket, you can click this button here to assign people to buildings directly. Like if I want these people to work in the university, I do this, and then a portion of the people go there. Of course, I don't want that right now. But if you still want the portion of the people to go to all the other buildings, you have this button to the side where you can tell them to go to all the other buildings that are around. And yeah, not that much because I really need them on those two. So to summarize how the industry works now, workers go from the house to the bus station where they will be picked up by buses, and this is very good, the bus is full, drive to the workplace via the highway, get out at the bus station and distribute to all of the industries where they firstly manufacture fabrics from crops and chemicals, turning that into clothing, which both is stored in our warehouse. On the other side, food from crops, same with alcohol, and same with meat, turning crops into livestock, still don't question it please, and livestock to meat. And at the end of the work shift, you don't need to drive them home, they literally just teleport back home. I heard this question before, if you also need a bus line back? No, you don't need that. I can show this with this guy. Work shift is ending, and he will literally just teleport back home. That's just an instant teleportation. And now he starts his new needs. Food, meat, visit a doctor, he will do all of that. Problem being is we have a real meat bottleneck. Yeah, next episode, 100% paving the highways. They work in the summer, pretty solid, but right now they have a max speed of 24 kilometers per hour, with the actual speed being 60. So snow reduces their speed a lot. Because this bus over here should on paper be perfect, because its max speed is 60. It can't drive it though, because it's snowing. And there you go on the brick road, it is 30. That's still bad, by the way. I might be changing my mind about the snow plows at the moment. Literally the meme with, I might have treated you too harshly. I gotta be honest, I'll let it up to you. If you want me to invest into a technical service for just snowplows in the industrial area, let me know. I will do it on your recommendation. Yeah, for some reason, my entire industry just woke up and decides to block the traffic now. But that's why we have different lanes for different things. Yeah, I really need those asphalt roads. Or get these. These might actually be good because those I can't load on a truck because they're too heavy. These on the other side I could, but it costs money. I hate being broke. Good news, with all of the problems with snow brought, we didn't have an actual population dip. It was a slight one because of food bottlenecks and some heating problems, but we are in the clear now. Without snow, our entire road networks has become a lot faster. Yeah, this will solve a lot of problems, even though I hate this. Still my recommendation if you want to teleport these trucks back when they're kind of stuck, control H. This truck wasn't stuck, it just tried to do a horrible turn, but yeah. Also upgrading utilities a little bit and preparing a second supermarket for a whole lot of reasons. I mean, all of these workers are gonna be great and they're gonna be an enormous help for the industry to make money, but this supermarket already has bottlenecks, and I think the only real solution is a second supermarket, especially if we want to expand in this direction. This would make a lot of sense. So yeah, I'm preparing that. Do we have the money for it? No. Right now we don't. But the moment we finally have enough people to overproduce clothing, which literally is about to happen, I think we need 53 tons, then we start to export with 20%. Yeah, we didn't export any of the expensive stuff yet because of the percentage here. But you know what I could do? I could actually put it down to 10% for now. Then we immediately start exporting clothing and everything, which could be super necessary for our bank accounts. So let's not be overzealous. 10% is more than enough, at least for now. Like later on, I would love to have a bigger buffer because we'll have more industries to supply. I mean, I say industries, I mean supermarkets and other kind of buildings of that. But overall, yeah, for now, I guess that's fine. The building block over here is done. New supermarket is also ready. Should take away a lot of pressure from this one. And now that this is done, we should actually start to make some money. Because we should really have enough workers now. Yeah, you can already see there's a good amount of workers now waiting at the bus station. I ordered these houses to 50% go to the bus station and 50% do whatever they want. So they will never have a problem where they can't work anywhere. And yeah, these buses are completely full. Very good. The reason why we didn't make too much money yet is because our construction officers stole, quote unquote, our workers from the bus station to build the building projects. But now that this is done, this shouldn't be a problem anymore. I mean, one more thing that is very expensive and I should do is heating. And it is already August, so I gotta be honest, for the video, I would just love to not build anything for a little bit and show you the actual green numbers we would make now. But for the good of this city, I will burn even more money and build a second heat exchanger because we do actually really need it. I'm gonna place it over here because we still have some space in the city center, which is not too far away from our current one. But with this one, we don't want to extend the range of our heat network. We want to give it more capacity. What I will do is build another heat pump over here, build a heat pump over here because we do need more range. There will not be enough range with this one. Connect this heating plant, connect this heating plant, connect this here, and connect it like this. This will cost us a lot of money, by the way. Like the prediction is 50k. Not immediately, but this will be super expensive. The problem is these pipes use steel, and steel is very expensive. Plus there's mechanical components in here which are also super expensive. But yeah, this is once again a thing we need to build once, and then our city is actually secured for a while, but it is so expensive. I just don't want our heating network to collapse again, and we did kind of barely dodge a collapse of our people. You can see here that we lost a few and we gained a lot back, but yeah, now we have even more houses and I don't want to risk it. I do gotta say, I love our terrain. The terrain is great. The upside is that I still am very happy with the amount of workers we have now in the industry because they have doubled since last time I checked, and our income has increased too. It is not enough yet, but it is an upwards trajectory. I mean, in the 1 year we now had our food industry working, we did actually make some money with food. I mean, you can see we make the most with clothing, so it's very essential that we start to export that. But even meat and alcohol is something that makes us money. So once we calm down with building, which will not happen for a while, we'll really start to make money with this industry. I mean, the thing that will really break us out is tourism, but I'm too scared to start researching that because we have such a high demand for highly educated people, and I'm really happy with the amount of highly educated people that we currently have that I don't want to interrupt this. But I guess the time has come to research visas because we need it for the next episode, and getting it done now would be good, even though this will kind of stop the growth of our educated people for a while. And with the amount of buses in the bus end station, I would actually say I want more buses. And I gotta say, our construction industry is actually quite efficient now, because we got all of this done before winter. Like, only this pipe is missing, and this pipe is about to be done. Everything else is constructed. So this was super expensive, but at least it was super quick build, which is beautiful news for future expansion. But yeah, more about it in the next episode, because I don't want to start something up right at the end. And yeah, it's done. Oh my god, I hate my life. I didn't check this time. It is not connected. That is so stupid. That is so stupid on so many levels. So, build this quick. Yeah, what I said last episode about checking the connection ports after you build something before you approve the project, do that. That was a good example where I apparently didn't completely snap on the point where the entry is and just went right under it, and it was not connected. So yeah, be careful. I somehow also forgot about mixed waste export. I love this game. So let me just very quickly fix that with garbage collection points. Maybe even a real quick maintenance office in the area should help too. But we did finish the research, so our education should go up again. And yeah, you can really see how this stagnated the time we researched. So that is bad. But what I did to boost the numbers of highly educated people working in a university and school is have this building over here only allow highly educated people and work in those two buildings. I never did this before like that, and it works out really well. I have a very highly staffed university and a very highly staffed school just with educated people, and it just carries my education system, which is nice. But on the other side, that this is not a perfect guide, and I'm kind of learning this game with you, is in moments like this when I get humbled by trash disposal. This is why this is also a challenge run for me, because I've played more than enough realistic mode now that I know that I won't go bankrupt, but there's still these little things in the game that can always screw you up, especially in a video where you try to explain and also build. It gets you sometimes more than you might believe. Here we can check, by the way, how much our clothings are worth, and one truckload is 4,100 rubles, which doesn't seem like a lot, but over time this really adds up, especially now with everything expensive being constructed and us not having an immediate need for steel. Maybe once we go into tourism, but that's next episode. For now, our workers, which are waiting way too long at a bus station. Yeah, that's why I got new buses, by the way. Go forth. But yeah, our workers want to work in industry now, are now enough to make our industry efficient. And yeah, I still get this warning over here. That's, by the way, why I put this check mark here. So I get a warning if we ever run out of food. And the mixed waste storage here should fix that. As what I wanted to say, now that we have enough workers, this should really turn around. And I'm also importing food now for a second again, because yeah, you really don't want to be food bottlenecked. That is bad. And the waste trucks immediately get to work to a lot of the trash that really add up in those industries. But they're working at full efficiency again, so that worked. We should see this as a warning to be more careful. With we, I mean me. I do want to say I'm sorry these episodes take so long, but I do my best, I promise you, to get them out in a good enough speed and then edit them down as quickly as I can with incorporating your feedback and quality control. And I appreciate the memes about me being late. Yes, the 4-year plan is delayed, okay? And funnily enough, I also think every episode so far has been 4 years, which I guess fits into that narrative. But yeah, we're starting to make some money now. The big expenses are out of the window. If we go into our actual expenses, which you can do via economy and trade, and then you click on all, and then expenses, you see how much we've actually wasted on stuff. And steel is up there. Like, steel is what really drained our budget. Then we also fuel. That's why I still say the fuel refinery is important. Bricks is also very high, which is of course not because bricks are expensive, but because we use them a lot. Crops and chemicals are also in there for this whole reason that our industry needs them to run. But crops are surprisingly cheap for the amount we have imported. And you can see in our income that we have made so far that crops are 100% covered. And you have to think about it, we have this full grain silo as a buffer, meaning they have not been converted into anything. They just have been imported. Plus the chemicals are also used for a lot of other stuff. So they're not just used by our industry. There has been an increase in usage since our industry is running. You can really see that. But even before that, we used them to run our city. So this is also not 100% 100% going into the calculation. Meaning, now that we finally have a good percentage of our workers working here, new loan for electricity, we will finally start to see some green numbers. Because they have been red every month now, because every month there was some problem appearing and some expansion needed. But now that I will chill for maybe a month with building, we should have a better time. And I do want to say the tourism is a lot more profitable than this. But I wanted to start with this industry here, because firstly, you can really scale it up into a lot of other things, like tourism. And secondly, it goes into the spirit of we produce stuff ourselves instead of importing it. Plus, this is a very nice setup to show off how industry works in this game. Another reason why I've decided to go with this. Yes, you can immediately go into tourism, but with our current game settings, tourism is also a bit of gambling, because tourism can always completely plummet when you have an epidemic. That is actually a thing in the game, and it is awful. We already had a few, like 2 of them. I haven't showed them because it's really not important for us, but epidemics completely stop tourism. More on that next episode. But yeah, we have like 33 workers in our factory. Last year, we had 11. So you thought this is not full yet. This is very good, because firstly, it's winter, and I have not bought any snowplows yet. I invite you to make an argument for or against them for the next episode, because I will end this one in the winter. And secondly, what helps us a lot is that we're not building right now, meaning that all of our workers actually come here. The only important thing is that they don't despawn when they're in a bus, because they have a traveling time, and if it takes too long, they will teleport back home and stop traveling, meaning they will not work. So you can't take people endlessly far. Once again, why a railway system is pretty good, but there's also other means of transport that I've not really used at all yet, like cableways. But I saw in some playthroughs they are super good, so we might go into them. Literally never thought they would be good, because it is cableways, and you want to transport your workers. I had not cableways in mind, I gotta be honest. Oh, look at that, we're nearly at 50 people. That is crazy. Literal peak efficiency, 43%. Not gonna lie, 43% for a factory is awfully good in this game, especially at the beginning. Getting 100% efficiency is basically impossible. It just is. But getting even close to that with the amount of workers you have in the factory, so like adding another 30% here, pretending we had 80 workers in here, that is pretty good. So it also means we export more regularly, meaning we will make more money. And yeah, our food storage is still recovering from the bad decisions from before, but I think we should be fine now. Oh no, the garbage is overflow. You know what? I will build it now. We need a real technical service over here, probably ASAP. Until then, I will get a few more normal garbage trucks, but yeah, we need this industry to function. And the way it currently barely does is not good. What is good is that our loans have not really increased in quite a while. I'm stuck at 930, which is a lot, don't get me wrong. On paper, we need to make a profit of 15.3k, and we're at minus 9k right now because I bought a lot of trucks. But what you might not think about is that we repay our loans on a daily basis, and that means, I will probably show this one next episode, you can really loan flip to lower loans over time. Meaning that I just had a loan with 93k that already paid 50k off, meaning when I took another 930k, I had another 25k in the budget, because I also had some other loans, but yeah, it's not important right now. TLDR, what I want to say with this is that we had more money than you might think, because these loans do actually pay back. And over time, with that strategy, you can reduce them. So next time we paid back 50k, I might only take 900k loan, meaning our monthly payments reduce because I took a smaller loan. That is a real strategy. And that's how we're gonna fix this nation after we're probably at 1 million debt, because I will build up industry no matter what. You can't stop me. On the other side, I'm super happy our industry is working. And please screenshot this. We're in the green for a second, please. Right now, screenshot. And it's gone. It's already gone. We imported grain. What I will quickly invest to is a new free distribution office filled with only refrigerated trucks, because our supermarkets struggle a little bit to keep meat up. That is not good. A cooling storage could have helped there a lot, but to be honest, I'm a little bit greedy with space in my city, so I didn't do that. Meat is not the most important thing. It just generally increases the happiness, which is still very high, but generally speaking, 77% is amazing happiness, especially in winter when most of these bonus facilities we build are not accessible. So yeah, I'm happy. And if I wouldn't have imported vehicles right now, again, we would be in the green. So I would say I'm very optimistic. Our debt has not increased in a while, even though it did look that way. And with next episode, where we will turn our semi-profitable industry, let's call it that, just to be fair, because it is not that profitable yet, into a very profitable industry by getting tourism involved. And notification, someone got a cheaper heating bill. Very good. I'm happy to see that. But yeah, the Republic is is growing. We didn't really do infrastructure this episode yet because we are kind of broke. But generally speaking, the expensive part is out of the way. Might need to build another living block. I'm not gonna pretend like the money has been 100% perfectly be managed. I do kind of recommend just build gravel roads here if you want to save a bit more money. But I do be running out of time. The 4 years are over. We have a 4-year plan to complete. And the next 4-year plan, which will probably not be 4 years, it will be way quicker, is hotels. We have literally researched everything for tourism. We just need to build the industry. Until next time, keep up all the comments. They really make my day and they help me a lot. And also other people. If you have any more questions, as always, put them down there. As from my side, see you next time and roll the time lapse.